You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thank you for being here with us. We got a great show planned for you this morning. There's lots to talk about, lots to get into. And I'm not sure if I'm going to have a guest jumping on with me or not, but I'll open up the link for for anyone who's going to jump on. If not, we got this covered, this conversation this morning here on CKLU 96.7 FM, CKLU.ca. If you want to stream us, you can just go to the Radio Player Canada app on CKLU.ca and you just click on it and you can stream us. And you can also download the Radio Player Canada app by clicking on it, downloading it, and taking us with you. You can listen to us anywhere, anytime on your favorite device. And that's one of the great things about modern technology. So again, there's some ways to listen to us. If you want to watch or even comment on the conversation and be part of it, I'll do my best to get them up on the screen. Also be able to, for our listeners online and on the radio, be able to read them on air. So I do my best. I don't get to all of the comments every single day. It's just because some of the conversations get pretty intense and there's lots of them. And so the people who are commenting and watching on Facebook or YouTube get a chance to be able to see the comments, mainly on Facebook. But one of the disadvantages on the radio is that I have to read them. So there you go. So facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. You can catch us there live each and every morning between 7:30 and 8:30. And we do news, weather, sports, basically anything that's going on in the city. And we promote the news organizations that we have here because we promote local journalism because we live local and we want to find out what's going on in our communities. And so we are grateful for local journalists who basically are out there each and every day getting the stories, and then we're able to talk about them in the morning here on Sudbury News Talk, which is Sudbury News and Views, basically, because we also have views and have opinions on what's going on, and we also have facts. Sometimes journalists can drum up a lot of the story, and then we have to also do our part, or we have pieces of the puzzle they may not have had. And so this is a chance to have these larger conversations as we unpack these stories. So yeah, with that, good morning, David. Stay safe, keep warm. We'll talk about the warm aspect as it is definitely colder out there in our weather segment. Good morning, Jennifer. Thanks for being with us this morning. Good morning, Cliff. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. Good morning. And Judy, good morning. Hope you're having a good morning and you are staying warm as well. You are doing this. How are you doing this chilly morning? Yes, it is definitely chilly. We're going to talk more about that. We got lots to talk about today, just for those who are on already, waiting for others to jump on. But I had an interesting conversation with the news director of CTV Northern Ontario. They sent me a message and said that they would like to have a conversation with me, and it's to do with using their material. And I just want to let you know about our conversation. There's some interesting stuff there. So stay tuned for that. I'll fill you in after our weather and our news. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. There's lots to talk about. There's lots of news today, as there is usually, because news just keeps happening. We can't stop it. So that's why we're here. And we'll be back with the weather, sports, and news headlines right after this. And Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca, as I did not share my screen yet this morning, but I will do that right now, and I'm doing that. So sudburyweather.ca, basically you go to that and it plugs in right into our website and updates you on the weather. We'll do our best to enhance it and make it a little bit better. I'm sure we could do a better job with that, but currently it is, get this, minus 20. Normally at this time of year, saying that wouldn't be a surprise or anything newsworthy, but given the fact that we have had such mild weather, here's some normal temperatures. Minus 20 to get today, right now, feels like minus 26. So yeah, welcome to what we're used to feeling this time of year in Sudbury. Today, mainly cloudy, 60% chance of flurries this afternoon with the cold weather. So there you go, double dose. The wind becoming south, 20 kilometers near noon, then increasing to 40, gusting to 70. So we'll have wind gusts as well. High of minus 3, wind chill, minus 23 this morning after, as the sun rises. It is currently colder than that, minus 26, but it'll be minus 11 this afternoon. So a little warmer than it is now, but still cold. Tonight, snow and local blowing snow, ending overnight, and then cloudy with a 40% chance of flurries, about 5 centimeters overnight. And the low will be minus 9, but the wind chill, late this evening, the low will be minus 9. Wind chill minus 8 in the evening and 16 overnight, minus 16 overnight. So not as cold tonight and overnight as it is now, which is good news for me anyways. Saturday, cloudy, 40% chance of flurries early in the morning, clearing in the morning. High of minus 8, wind chill minus 18 in the morning, and then minus 11 in the afternoon. So it looks like today is the cold spot in the forecast for these today and the next couple days. So again, chance of flurries 40% for tomorrow, high of minus 8. Sunday, chance of flurries 60%, high of minus 12. Monday, high of minus 14, 40% chance of flurries. High of 11 on Tuesday, mix of sun and cloud all the way through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So far in the forecast, that's a little bit far out there, and I'll believe it when I see it. High of minus 11 for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then dipping a little bit. High of minus 16 on Thursday is your forecast, long range. A little bit of a look at your satellite over northern Ontario here. You have, wow, surprise, surprise, we have some clearing with the cold weather, but the clouds are rolling in. So you can enjoy clearing for a little bit, but then clouds rolling in. So we'll have more of the same. But it did get a little sunny yesterday. Did you notice that? Sun came out. Just because I said, where'd the sun go? We haven't had sun for a while. So I guess somebody heard us, and there was sun. And I really enjoyed it. And it's really cool. The sun is great. Just to know that it's still out there is awesome. So yeah, so we'll be back with some Sudbury sports right after this. Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. All right, we'll be right back after this. All right, Sudbury Sports brought to you by sudburysports.com. That is Randy Pascal. He is that Sudbury Sports guy, and his website is sudburysports.com. Just wanted to get to some of our comments. Yes, Cliff is commenting on the CTV comment that I'm in trouble now, and there's, I guess, a little bit of truth to that. Yeah, the truth, unreal for sure, Jennifer. Yep, and good morning, Chris. Thanks for being with us. Yeah, we'll have more on the conversation I had later after the sports segment here. Currently, your Sudbury Five are 4-0, best start in franchise history. Head to the5.ca, check out when they're going to be playing in town. I believe it's in February. They aren't in town for a little bit. They got a bit of a break here. So, get your tickets for that next home game. It's going to be a wild one. Can you imagine they get off to a 5-0 start for the season? And speaking of success and tickets, the Sudbury Wolves are in action tonight. They're going to be facing the Windsor Spitfires. And Shane Wright will be here on the Windsor Spitfires. He just won the gold medal. I believe he was the captain for the Canadian junior team, and they just won their gold medal. And so he'll be in town tonight. Now, here's what the Sudbury Wolves just put out. Single seats and standing room only for the game. So you're going to get your tickets. You'll only be able to have single seats or standing room only tickets because it's going to be a lot of people out there tonight. So make sure to get your tickets. And if you, for some reason, it's sold out and you're not able to get in there and see the game, you can hear the game right here on CKLU 96.7 FM. Puck drop at 7:05. And if you are going to the game, as you know, it's the Indigenous night tonight, and they have their logo and their jerseys, their themed jerseys that they're going to be wearing tonight for the game. And you can get your own T-shirt or hoodie of that, and you go to Greater Sudbury Sports in the new Sudbury Shopping Center, and you can pick up some of those. And here they even have prices. Adult T-shirts $35, adult hoodies $70, youth T-shirts $25, and then proceeds are going to the youth in sport and mental illness. Proceeds support Indigenous youth in sport and mental wellness. So there you have it. And then the Wolves are also in action. I just got to get this up on my screen here. Hang on a second. So they're also in action tomorrow night against Owen Sound, I believe. And then Guelph on Sunday, usually an afternoon game. You can catch both of those games right here on CKLU 96.7 FM. And also in sports related news, the tough Northern Chill Sub-Zero team readies to host the February 5th tourney is your headline. Volleyball tournament will see 9 teams battling it out at Laurentian University while supporting the Sudbury Food Bank. And as far as I know, I've been talking about the Northern Chill for, since we had Sudbury Sports Talk back in 2017. So it'll go ahead February 5th, Laurentian University volleyball tournament. If you love to see varsity sports, you can get out and support that. It's always great to support our local sports. And not only the Wolves or the Five, there's also Laurentian sports as well, Cambrian sports, Boreal as well. So lots of sports to get out there and support. And then there's our amateur sports as well. And your Sudbury Sports, seeing how many times I could say the word sports in a minute, brought to you by that Sudbury Sports guy, Randy Pascal, and SudburySports.com. We'll be back with headlines and a lot to kind of unpack right after this. Okay, we're back with, going through our Sudbury News Facebook page, all the stories that we cover. Cliff is saying, take a shot every time, AJ. Sports. Yeah, exactly. Appreciate that. And I appreciate all of you being on and commenting in this conversation. It's a community conversation we have each and every morning, 7:30 to 8:30 here in Sudbury. And it's not only just for, if you live in Sudbury, if you're from Sudbury, anything if you've lived here at some point, you may be born here and you've moved away and you want to check in, it's a good way to keep in touch. Also, CKLU, the station that we're on right now, a lot of people listen in for that very reason. They just want to kind of feel a little bit at home and check in from time to time. But here we're always talking about Sudbury-related issues, as well as some broader issues that still affect us as we live here. And this top story that I have, I'm just going to go through them chronologically as they appear on the Facebook page, is one that affects Canada in general, not only people who live in Sudbury. The headline is Canada falls from Freedom Index top 10 for the first time since 2012. Strict COVID-19 lockdown measures were the largest reason for Canada's ranking drop. And that's from SudburyStar.com. So yeah, they have indexes for many things, for business reasons, for social, economic reasons. Like they have indexes to help people know which countries are safer to do business in, that are more law abiding. And so there's an index and there's a formula of how to figure out which countries, take less bribes, for instance, let's say, more law-abiding. And here's a different index. There's many indexes to kind of gauge countries and where they are on these indexes. And there's an actual freedom index as well. So to see where Canada fits on that. And some of the reasons why we've fallen are the way that we handled the COVID in, during the time that it was going on, and the heavy measures we took. Released Thursday by the Fraser Institute and the US-based Cato Institute, the 2022 edition of the Human Freedom Index lists Canada as the world's 13th most free nation, down from 6 last year. And the first time in over a decade that Canada didn't make the top 10. So a quote from a dude from who did the study, a co-author of the study, Fred McMahon, says Canada's COVID response was much stricter than many other countries in 2020. There have also been some bumps in our legal system and given various scandals and political interference, he said. The overall Human Freedom Index incorporates economic freedom, and Canada has been declining in that, he said. It's important not to overstate this. It's not like the bottom has fallen out and countries at the top tend to be closely bunched, but this is becoming a trend, and it's worrisome. So if you're wondering which countries rank at the top, Switzerland is at the top of the world's freest country, with New Zealand, Estonia, Denmark, and Ireland rounding out the top 5. Canada's 13th. There's a two-way tie between Norway and Australia, which also handled the lockdowns during 2020 in a similar manner, right? So we're tied with Australia. The 5 least free nations in descending order: Egypt, Iran, Venezuela, Yemen, and Syria. China ranked, if you're wondering, 152nd on the list, between Zimbabwe and Chad. My one professor of communications, now no longer there after the insolvency, said that China is the model for Canada. So hopefully she's wrong. I don't want to be 152nd on the Freedom Index anytime soon. I'd rather take 13th. Thank you. So Natalie, yes, Natalie, hilarious. I've got this playing in the background as I'm ready to head out the door to commute, and then I listen in the car. I'm a hybrid listener, and my fiance just said, wow, at least there's a lot of sports. Yeah, good thing there's sports. LOL. We love you, AJ. Oh, thank you very much, Natalie. Thank you so much. And we really appreciate you being with us, ever since we had our interview when you were running for Ward 7, and then thankfully you were elected and you continue to get things done in city council. And I think you will continue doing that. If the way that you've already been doing things continues, which I do believe is going to happen. The Ramsey Lake, you can skate on there. There's that oval on Ramsey Lake. It is open, and it's a skate path. Sorry, it's not an oval. That's at Queen Elizabeth Field, where there's the oval. I'm not sure how that's doing or if that's open, but Ramsey Lake is now ready to go. And you can go and skate there anytime. There was a power outage in New Sudbury, but power has been restored. It seems to have lasted, I don't know. Greater Sudbury Hydro says power has been fully restored after an outage interrupted service for about 1,200 customers in that area Thursday. Levack residents voice snow removal concerns. And so this was from CTV, which I'll have more on my conversation with the news director there just in a moment. But first, we have a video from there, but we will not be playing it. And I'll let you know why after. Residents in Greater Sudbury community of Levack met Wednesday, which is 2 nights ago, to voice their frustrations with the city of Greater Sudbury. Citing safety issues, residents said snow plowing services or the lack thereof were inadequate. Additionally, residents said sidewalks were being improperly plowed, leading many to walk on the road and leading to visibility concerns. Another topic of discussion was a viral video that we shared yesterday on the show, and by a Levack resident, Charlotte Gorham, a few days ago. In it, she said a city worker intentionally hit a community box with a sidewalk plow. Gorham said she believes it was in retaliation for videos she posted before. And we knew there was something going on, that she had some kind of long-standing dispute. Of other situations that happened to other residents in Levack. That happens all the time in our town, whether you see it or not, Gorham said. When you can't have your street because you're snowed in, that's a message. When your fence is knocked over, not once, but twice, that's a message. So in a statement to CTV News, the city of Greater Sudbury said it cannot comment on employees because of privacy concerns. But said it's looking into the matter and it will take appropriate action. Damage to private property can regrettably occur during snow removal and maintenance operations, said the statement. Lisa Sable, a Levack resident who attended the meeting, has mobility challenges and walks with a cane. She said she could be injured and by walking on improperly plowed sidewalks. She also said when things are plowed improperly or plowed wrong, it causes her an issue to the point where she has to be extremely careful of how she walks or not to injure herself. So if you want to read more about that and about the issues there, you can just click on our story on our Facebook page. It goes right to CTV's website, where CTV then gets the analytics and they sell advertising on their site. So that way they can provide money to pay their reporters to do the reporting. But if I point you to there, they get the revenue for that, right? Because it's their story, which I am not stealing. I am actually promoting and encouraging and inviting you or anyone who's listening or watching to go to their website and read their story so that way they can make money off their site, right? So there's no way am I making any money because I am a volunteer and I don't make any money, but I do believe in local journalism and I do feel that there is a lack and a hole there of Sudbury-centric reporting and Sudbury issues. because our news outlets mainly cover a vast area, which is Northern Ontario, and a lot of times you can't just cover Sudbury, correct? So this is a headline here. Shafted by amalgamation. Montpelier, who is a councillor on city council, said he wanted to show his support for the community he represents and calls home. I was told there would be no city service workers here, he said. That's not in my control or my say. But as their councillor, as their neighbor, I'm here. Montpelier said he believes the amalgamation has impacted a number of outlining areas, including Levack. This, I will say, our outlining communities have been shafted by amalgamation. Gorham said she'd like Levack to be able to hire its own contractor to handle snow plow services. Wow, that's an interesting model. So you take city funds, and instead of having a city employee have to drive all the way out there and service it, you take city funds and you hire someone who lives in Levack, who has the proper insurance and the proper tools and everything to deliver the services, because they live in the community and they care about the community they live in. That's a great idea, I would think. It's a model I think works in other centers. We're here to let the city know they haven't done their job, and they haven't for decades. Let us find a contractor to do the job if you can't. So it's a great idea, I think. It needs to be explored. Nothing wrong with that. We do have an incredibly highly paid, human resources in this city. And yes, Jennifer, I am just sharing the news that is already out there. It's all I'm doing, and I'm pointing people to it. Sad news. So anyways, yeah, the whole amalgamation thing. And I know Natalie is listening on her way into town today. So we want to have you on sometime next week. We'll talk about the whole fire services thing. So we'll get to that in a second. But first, very sad news, sad headline. Sudbury woman killed when snowmobile went through the ice. The body of 29-year-old Sudbury nurse was recovered Wednesday night from a lake near Perry Sound after her snowmobile went through the ice. See if there's any more on that. Again, that's from CTV Northern Ontario, where you could read more on their website about that. And I will not play the video until I hear further on the matter, but we'll talk more about that later. The body of 29-year-old woman, Sudbury nurse, was recovered Wednesday night. Emergency crews were called out to Osler Lake in Saugeen Township around 9 p.m. on Wednesday night. Heather Lockwood, who's 29, didn't return to a planned location, Ontario Provincial Police said in a news release. In a news release they give to news outlets, which I've signed up for, I think, 20 times, and I still don't get their news releases, which you just go on their website, and I think even just citizens can get their news into their email. But for some reason, I haven't gotten that yet. But they did release a news release to CTV, Northern Ontario, which now I'm just reading the news release that I could have access to myself, but they gave to CTV. But you can read that news release on CTV's website. She was last seen on a motorized snow vehicle, and tracks led search crews to the open water. So that's how they knew what had happened. She's the third snowmobiler to die in the Northeast this month after going through the ice. We reported on January 17th that 53-year-old Ronald Natius of Sudbury was also a victim of falling through the ice with his snow machine. He was pulled from Elbow Lake in the Astaire area. And another 59-year-old man was killed after his snowmobile went through the ice on 6 Mile Lake on January 21st. So again, just a word of caution. I know it's cold today, but we haven't had cold weather, not enough to freeze to freeze our lakes. And I would just, someone made the comment to wait until the snowmobile club put the markers out on the lakes in order to go out and deem them safe. But if we're just traveling anywhere we want on any lake, I would highly advise against it until we get a few more days like we have now to freeze the ice. But it's a sad story. Condolences. There's many condolences on our Facebook page. Comments, which you're able to comment on our Facebook page, which you're not able to comment on a lot of our local news Facebook pages. And so that's another way that people can engage with these stories, that if they clicked on would go right to the news source's website, to which they would get the analytics and they would be able to bring to their advertisers and they would be able to monetize, because we are supporting local journalism and we want them to continue to do what they do. But we also want people like yourselves and myself to be able to comment on stories and add and engage, which is what social media is all about. Social, people being social, people talking to each other on social media. But a lot of the outlets that we have stopped the comments on their pages. And so here we have many people offering their condolences for her. And so our condolences as well to her family and her friends. And speaking of the ice and not being frozen enough, former pond hockey tournament is back in Sudbury, but will happen on outdoor rinks, not on Ramsey Lake. For the first time since the pandemic started, Sudbury's Pond Hockey Festival on the Rock will be back, but it won't take place on Ramsey Lake this year. And it's from cbc.ca. So I click on it, and when I click on it, they get an analytic, knowing that another hit has come on their website. And even though cbc.ca is funded through our tax dollars, they also have revenue from advertisement. So they take the clicks and they go, we got this many clicks to their advertisers, and they get paid even more money, even though it's a publicly funded news source, which their reporters are paid through our tax dollars. They also get advertising dollars through Google. They have Google ads on their page, and I'm clicking on it, so it's adding to the amount of money they're making. And then if you click on it, it's going to add to the amount of money that they make on CBC. So on the story by CBC Sudbury, it says that for the first time, it's not going to be on the lake; it will be on the rink. So it's called, Sudbury Ball Hockey Tournament on the Rock, but it's still on the Rock if it's on an outdoor rink. It doesn't have to be on Ramsey Lake. Instead, the games will be between the festival's 30 teams will be split between 3 rinks. Festival chair Daniel DeNoble said the company that previously helped build the skating rinks on Ramsey Lake wasn't available to help out this year. Interesting. Organizers will make use of 2 outdoor rinks at the Robinson and Delky Dozy playgrounds, and an indoor ice surface at the Northern Hockey Academy on Kelly Lake Road. DeNoble said they will still be able to welcome crowds at the event, but had to cut the number of teams participating. We're encouraging people to come, check out, and help support the cause, DeNoble said. So we expect to have, in the next week or so, the schedule posted about where the games are and the different locations. DeNoble said using rinks instead of the lake this year makes it easier to organize the event. Well, easier to organize the event because the event organizers they were using weren't able to help them. However, I don't know if they're going to get the same turnout if they're at multiple locations And, whereas everyone can just go down to Ramsey Lake before and just park and go down and watch any game they wanted to and take in the festivities and just have a good time kind of thing. Typically, back to the story from cbc.ca, typically with the outdoor rinks, it's a little bit easier to flood, he said. So the outdoor rinks have been open now for, I guess, it would be probably close to a month. The annual skating part that spans 1.5 kilometers on Ramsey Lake, as we said this morning, opened on January the 23rd. And city spokesperson, former CTV personality, Northern Ontario personality, Sasha Novak, who is now the city spokesperson, former employee, reporter for CTV Northern Ontario, now the city spokesperson, Sasha Novak, said in an email to CBC News, the skate path has historically opened from mid-January to early February, depending on the season. The ice needs to be at least 45 centimeters thick for it to open. The Pond Hockey Festival on the Rock will take place on Friday, February 3rd and Saturday, February 4th. Funds raised during the tournament will go to Camp Quality Northern Ontario for children affected by cancer and Northern Ontario Families for Children with Cancer. So it's going to a good cause. So that's really great. So if you love hockey, ball hockey, I participated when I worked for Eastlink in that, and we had a really great time. It was a really great, well-organized tournament, and we had fun. I think we did really well in it as well. So Cliff said before amalgamation, the city of Valley East had their own municipal services paid for by Valley taxes, Valley taxpayers, garbage collection, plowing, you name it. And it was all done in a timely and properly fashion. So he also says, I'm going to say something that's going to ruffle feathers, but it needs to be said. Oh, great. I haven't read this yet, and I'm doing it on air. All right. People need to get in their heads that the ice isn't safe this year. A couple of weeks ago, there was a post showing 8 inches of ice in one spot and just over 2 inches only 20 feet away, or 2 feet away, sorry. And so think of all the other lives that are put at risk if we think foolishly and selfishly. So, and we think that will never happen to us. That is so sad and true at the same time. And I don't know how many feathers that would ruffle, Cliff, because I just think that's good advice and basically wanting us to stay safe, correct? So I don't see that as a controversial thing at all. So conversation with CTV's news director, got a message yesterday, and it said basically, it was a friendly enough message saying to, that they got message that we were using some of their content videos per se. That was what was about using it on our show. And so if I could just quickly take action and take all of their videos off of anything that I'm using and cease to use any videos in the future. And then left email and phone number, contact information. So needless to say, 2 minutes after I got as soon as I saw the message, which was 2 minutes after it was sent, I called and we had a great conversation. And she was very nice and cordial and respectful. At the same time, I think both of us were in a little bit of a territory that we really didn't understand all of the ramifications for and all of the legalities and all of the things that go around copyright law and whether or not something could be shared or if ethically we were stealing content or were we simply promoting it. So there was two sides to it, right? So one side could be I'm stealing content and using it for my own purposes. And she said one of the reasons where I could use it, like I could just take clips out of context, kind of like news does all the time to people. But no, I would never do that. And I would only play something in its entirety, and I would only be respectful to the one that was doing the story. And then we would unpack it afterwards. And I don't think she really, I think, so what happened was a viewer or a listener emailed them and said, hey, do you know this is going on? And they marked on the video all the times a video from CTV was playing, like they showed the time signatures kind of thing. Not sure why, not sure if maybe something was said on the show that they particularly didn't agree with or what, or they were actually really concerned that in the world of news that somebody locally was doing something nefarious and stealing other news, like, something like that. Maybe they were really concerned that someone was trying to play news to people and that wasn't already coming from their site or whatever, or I'm not sure. Like they were just hearing and seeing the very news they would be watching on CTV newscast, right? So I don't know what would be, wrong with that. But anyway, someone did. And we had a great conversation about what do we do? Where do we go from here? So I'm waiting for word from CTV's head office to see how we proceed with the sharing of video. I said, so I can't share any stories from you guys or whatever, because I basically just go through all of the local news sites and we take the headlines and we discuss them and we unpack things in a conversation. She goes, oh no, that's fine. If you want to go on our website and take clips, like say different, take different segments from it and talk about it and read different segments, that's fine. But you just can't play a video. So I okay, no problem. And so I'm going to adhere to that until I hear anything further from CTV's head office. And so really, to be respectful too, I should have, and the program director here at CKLU said, if we are going to be using anything, reach out to the organizations and just say, hey, is it cool if we use your content? But I guess the old saying, it's easier to ask forgiveness than it is permission. Like if I was to call this particular individual and say, hey, I want to share your news on my segment, it would be right away a flat no, obviously. And it would be because, I don't know you. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're doing this. And so we don't have anything to go on that's been done before, like any precedent that's been set. So this is kind of new. A local guy who gets up at 5 a.m. and prepares a bit of a newscast live on the radio and social media, who doesn't get paid, who's very passionate about local issues, who wants to promote and share local media and promote local journalism. We don't really have many examples of that out there, right? So that's where we're at. And I just want to know, it's not a negative thing per se. It was a very respectful message that was sent to me and CKLU from CTV, Northern Ontario, just saying, hey, what the heck kind of thing, right? So we're now looking into that. And but we did have a conversation about, I started a business back in 1999 called .com Deliveries, and we were the first restaurant delivery service that now everybody's familiar with, like Skip the Dishes, Uber Eats, DoorDash. We were the first. And so we had online ordering before apps. You can go online and order from any restaurant. So I would go to a restaurant owner and I would say, hey, we can deliver for you. And they go, what? My food doesn't get delivered. We're not pizza. We're not Chinese food. You can't deliver my food. How can you guarantee it's going to be hot and fresh when it gets delivered? And you can't deliver for me and other restaurants at the same time. That's my competition. Why would I support my competition? You're going to be delivering to my customer and you're going to give him some promotion that promotes other restaurants as well. I don't want this. This isn't right. So I had to educate restaurant owners in how co-opetition will actually increase your revenue rather than competition. You work together with the same clientele to offer, like, let's say we have 15 restaurants working together. Well, you're now going to get more restaurants working, or more business working together than the other ones who aren't working with us. And so they just couldn't get it. I worked really hard, and I was able to drum up 15 restaurants, believe it or not, in Sudbury, put together a menu guide with them all. And, it was hard. It was hard educating the market. And this is the same thing. So I'm taking local news outlets and I am basically promoting all of them. I'm giving accolades to the reporters. Heidi Ulrichsen from Sudbury.com, and her reporting of the insolvency of Laurentian University was second to none. She totally hit it out of the park. And anytime I read a story from her, I said that, and I'm encouraging people to go to the news sources themselves to even get involved. A lot of people are getting less engaged with mainstream media and local media and find that it's not really, doing something. And so we're trying to encourage people to get involved. And this show is one way that we can do that, right? So, so it was a great conversation. We're going to wait because it's great to be able to have some of the news stories in a video format, which translate really well on radio as well. And it gets people informed of what's going on, and then we're able to unpack it after. So, and encourages people to go to the source, and they can then get the revenue from that. The only thing they're worried about is losing their click revenue. And yeah, but that's not true. They're actually gaining more. If you play it here, you won't need to click on their site. They're not worried about context. Possibly. Okay, yeah, that's true. They already heard it. They've already seen it. We're showing it, I guess. I'm not sure. But even just myself going on there and clicking on it is click revenue too, right? So there you go. Anyways, it is what it is. Just as we're ending out the show today, speaking of great news outlets, Sudbury.com has a really great feature where they have a morning segment, and they have kind of like the best stories of yesterday to share. And this was one we didn't talk about, but approximately 40 people have been affected by an infection prevention and control, IPAC, lapse, said the RESO Access Network in a January 26 release. An infection prevention and control lapse occurs when there is a deviation from IPAC best practices resulting in possible infection disease. So say that in English, people got infected needles, possibly 60 of them. Approximately 40 people, have been affected, said Heidi Eisenhower, Executive Director of RESO Access Network. The agency has taken immediate action to inform anyone who has potentially been exposed to hepatitis V virus, and human, or HIV. People who've been affected by HIV virus, potentially, and to encourage testing and offer support to anyone. So needles have been given out that might have been contaminated to people. And so we need to watch out for that. If you have used a needle from the safe injection site, I believe, then you definitely want to get tested. So, yeah, we covered that. So court rejects Thornlow $9.8 million claim against Laurentian University. A judge has rejected an appeal of a decision to deny a $9.8 million claim by Thornlow University against Laurentian University. The appeal was heard by Chief Justice Jeffrey Morowitz in November, but he only issued his decision January 19th. Thornlow University is one of 3 educational institutions on Laurentian's campus that were formally federated with LU. However, the situation changed after Laurentian declared insolvency early in 2021, which was followed by LU legally severing ties with Thornlow, as well as Huntington University and the University of Sudbury. This resulted in Laurentian removing all of Thornlow's courses from its curriculum. Overnight, Thornlow went from a teaching university with courses, faculty, and students in its courses to a university with no courses and soon to be terminated faculty and staff, said the motion submitted by Thornlow in relation to the appeal. So a judge has rejected that appeal. And so I guess they have no legal standing to recoup any of the costs that they lost during the insolvency. And this is something hopefully we'll get Natalie on the show to speak to. Multiple in-person meetings, public meetings, and online engagement sessions will launch by the end of February in reaction to proposed changes to Greater Sudbury's fire paramedic stations. It's important to inform before consulting. City Communications Director Marie Latinen told City Council during Tuesday's meeting, "We're informing, but we're also bringing questions and we are learning more. The public engagement sessions come as a result of a motion by Natalie Labby last month, following the public backlash regarding a long-awaited report, the city's emergency services infrastructure, most of which hasn't changed much since amalgamation in 2001. During Tuesday's City Council meeting, the city's elected officials approved a plan for the city to organize a series of in-person open houses at fire stations affected by the consolidation recommendations, including those at Falconbridge, Valcarron, Hanmer, Beaver Lake, Wanapate, Coniston, and Coppercliff. So we'll have more with Natalie hopefully next week. And we'll have more of Sudbury News Talk, including news, weather, and sports right here on CKLU 96.7 FM, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Monday morning at 7:30 when we return. Keep warm during this cold weekend. Stay safe, everyone. And we'll see you on Monday morning. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And have a great weekend. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU, and we'll be back. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.